Welcome back. Looks like there's a broken build. Um, I'm going to give it a quick shot to see if I can find out what's causing the break and sort of give you my thought process and maybe an easier way to debug these things. Um, First, let's make it simple. I know it's sometimes when you look at this in totality and everything expanded, it can be overwhelming. Let's just collapse it down into the main solution folders. Unclose this guy. Right click and do a build. Just do a build. I just did just a recent refresh or a get, and I'm going to try to do a build directly from the get with no changes. Now, when I do that, when I do the get, I'll get a number of warnings which I don't really care about, but a number of errors. Okay, so what I want to look at first is to see if there's something that's um, a common theme. In other words, a missing class or something like. In other words, it's very rare that you have. It says 17 errors, like you have 17 specific errors, one by one, right? There's probably one thing that's causing many things to have an error. And I would look for sort of a core error. Remember the different the build layers that we have? Well, if you have an error in your DAL, it's probably going to cause an error in your BLL. Your BLL doesn't have an error, but you're reporting an error because it has an error because it's being errored from a DAL. And seeing this EDMX, that could spark everything. So let's take a look at the first one. It says a mapping function. Let me make it bigger, maybe. Of course not. A mapping function binding specifies vault to your data store SPVend email insert, but does not map the following parameters. Okay, so let's go into the EDMX, which I know is under the data access layer VT. Go into Vend EDM or Vaultier EDMX. Let's take a look at. I'm looking for the thing. It's not this one. I'm sorry. Vend email insert. So now we got to hunt around for Vend email insert. This one does allow me to zoom in. It's not over this side. Vend email insert. There's contact email. There's UI property. I'm gonna not care about this one. I don't care about spatial table. I mentioned before about not importing things that we don't care about, but that's okay. Vend email. Was it Vend email or let's see. Vend email insert, which is part of Vend email. So if I right click this and I go to store procedure mapping, this is the error. So for the Vend email insert, this is this int varchar and bit. These are the parameters that are required in the store procedure. These are the parameters you're giving it. There's got to be a parameter for each parameter. So if you're saying email ID as an input parameter, it better have something over here as a property for email ID. If you're saying active flag, you got to have a property for something over here. These properties come from the entity domain, right? The domain contract that we had. So let me pop over to Solution Explorer. We're going to go over to the domain models. We're going to go over to Vend or VT Vend, and we're going to look for Vend email. Here's Vend email. Vend email has email, email address, and active flag. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Email, email address, and active flag. Okay, so then we're going to look at the properties to see if it's available in the dropdown, and it is. An active flag, and it is. Okay, I got a parameter for each one of my updates. That's good. And then for delete, for some reason you're passing in address and active flag. That's not necessary. You don't need that for email delete. So let's fix email delete. Vend email delete. The only thing you need for the email delete is the ID. You don't need the other parameters. They're superfluous. So we're going to go in there and zap this and fix that sort of procedure. So I'm going to go into store procedures, SPVend email delete. I'm modifying your store procedure. Hope you don't have a problem with it. And then I'm gonna re-import it after I'm done. So it looks like Ryan did a bit of this. I'm gonna delete. This is saying begin transaction. A delete really isn't a delete. You're setting the update flag to 0. That's cool. So all I really need is the email ID, right? Let's execute this guy. Now, if I change the store procedure, that means I'm going to have to change the import. right? So let's go to the model browser. I'm going to go into the function import. I'm going to look for spvend email delete, which is this guy. I'm hitting the delete key on my thing. Then I'm going to import it from, or delete it, excuse me, from the model store vend email delete. I'm going to go and say update model from database. I'm going to import it again, so I'll now see it again as an add. Here it is. Import it. It's going to think for a second or two, and after I deleted it, now I have to remap it. But now it'll be better to remap. So watch what happens. I go to vend email. I go to right click. I say store data store mapping. That's fixed. This delete function I have to reselect. sp vend email delete. Email delete. Cool. And we're gonna pick the, or I did already pick the right parameter, email ID. Excellent. Okay, so this one should, that email vend email should be fixed. So let's close the EDMX, and when you close the EDMX, it does the regeneration of all the files. And let's see. Okay, that's a better sign. Smaller list. Okay, we're back in the same thing. Okay, so you know what we got is the next one. So the next one's, okay, still bouncing around. Vend address update does not have the file thing mapped. So we go back to EDMX. Vend address update. So that sounds like, what is that? Go back to that. Vend address update. Vend address update. So there's a thing called vend address. Bear with me a second. This is all Vol stuff. Vend is over here somewhere. There's vendor rating, vendor project, vend contact, Vol phone, vend address. Right click, go to store procedure mapping. Lo and behold, you're missing a couple things there. It's not going to like that. It's not going to like that. Okay, so let's go back to again, go back to the domain model. Make sure you have the domain model correct. I go to the vend domain model for vend address. I should see address, line 1 to line 2, line 3, city, state, zip 4, active flag. I am missing the geocode get set. So I know, let's steal it a bit of code from Vol, because I know Vol has it right. Let's go over to Vol address, this guy. And I know the Vol address has the geocode set up correctly. So I'm going to take that and go back over to vend address and drop that sucker right there. Okay, so there's that. What else was missing? Active flag, but I thought I saw active flag in here. Active flag is there. Okay, so I'm going to save my my vend address domain model. Okay, and this thing should be smart enough to find it now. There it is. And active flag. And there it is. Sorts them nice and alphabetical for you. Geocode. And bam. And you got the delete. This time you got the delete right. You only need one of them. Cool. Save it. And you know what? Instead of me closing the EDMX, let's see if I can just compile and get the next one, because I think there's 2 or 3 other ones that are messed up like this. Yeah, I see 3 more. So let's see. Event rating insert. I did see something with event rating up here. Right click. But that's not what I wanted. Right click, and there we are. Active flag. Lo and behold, active flag. And the question is, okay, sometimes these don't map up right, like they'll automatically map. If it missed a mapping, expect that there's a difference in wording or spelling, or you have an underscore or something like that. Like it couldn't really marry them name for name. That's probably what happened. Event ID, GUID to a unique identifier. It should have mapped, but it didn't for whatever reason. Okay, so event rating I think I got. I was thinking I'll do another build. Got one more. But it's jumping around here. Okay, so okay, blah 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 blah. Remember, mapping file is not valid. The remember, active flag and type. TBL vendor is not compatible with. No, okay, so let me show you what this one's about. So, active flag in vendor. Let's first find the vendor table. Vendor table is right there. Okay, so vendor, it's saying that active flag is not compatible with nullable. Okay, so you have a nullable field in this. I'll show you how to fix this. Let's go to the stored procedure mapping. It's having a problem with that active flag being a nullable value, I believe. You're not passing an active flag on insert. Okay, so the way we do this is we're going to go to the vendor. I'm looking for, that's over here, of course. Man, I can see it. Project vendor address, vendor contact, vendor email, vendor address. Where's your DM for this? Okay, let's go into your DAL for this. Vend contact vendor. Okay, so where's okay, where's your domain model for vendor? I'm not seeing it here. All right, so I'll create your domain model. I'll do add new item. It's thinking. Call it SP vendor DM. Sweet. Okay, so SP vendor DM. Now I'm going to go into I'm going to steal it from the EDMX. So I'll go to the context. I'm looking for TBL vendor is what I'm looking for. TBL vendor. Nope, not there. I'm sorry. In the other context, in this context, in here, TBL vendor is right there. So this is TBL vendor. These three things. Notice that you got a nullable bool active flag. That's why it doesn't like it. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go back to vendor that I just created. I'm going to drop this in there and put it in the right place this time. There we go, between the brackets. There we go. I'm going to say public. And we're going to go back to this, close that. Now we're going to go back to vendor and let's see. Yeah, we're in store procedure. I had it. Store procedure mapping. There we go. Active flag is there. Let's give it a compile and see what happens. All right. It's thinking. Is that? Do you have? Okay, so under. I'm curious. Under your DAL for vendor, which you probably started, if you didn't have domain model before, how are you pushing it? Okay, I don't see it. So okay, member the type EDM boolean nullable true false of member active flag of type volunteer model.tbl is not compatible with SQL Server in. SQL Server in. Okay. I see. Okay, so if I go to tables, go to vendor, go to design. Is active flag some weird int value? Yeah, that'll do it. You can't use a boolean with an int. So let's do this. Let's take this, change the int to a bit, give it a save. Bit is the same thing as a boolean. It's a 1 and 0 value. Okay, it's thinking. It's going to warn me. Thank you for warning me, SQL Server. All right. Now, guess what you got to do over here. You know what? Let's pause. I had to crack to another video because it's just 15 minutes. Let me hit done. You'll see me continue this and fix it in the next 10 minutes. Be right back.